What's going on, guys, and welcome to Highly and Alph Gaming. I'm your host, Alph, and today we're talking about Super Mario Maker. If you've really been here for a while, you'll know that the third video I ever made was also entitled My Hopes for the Future of Super Mario Maker, and I think that was a pretty important video for me. It was my first video to be discovered by anyone other than my friends and family, and while my channel is still admittedly very small, 80-something subscribers is certainly more than about 7. While most of what I said in that video still holds up for me today, I don't feel like I fully explored all the ideas that I had. It remains my shortest video ever, clocking in at just over 5 minutes, and that didn't leave a whole lot of room for my ideas to grow. Since then, I've certainly got more experience making videos, so I'm taking a crack at finishing what I started, in my hopes for the future of Super Mario Maker Part 2. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we really dig into the game itself, let's talk a little bit about what I'd like to see for the game's branding. In other words, what will the game be called? Many names have been thrown out there by other people: Super Mario Maker 2.0, Super Mario Maker for Nintendo Switch, and while I think these could both work, I have a bit of an unpopular opinion here. I think that it would be a good idea for Nintendo to simply call the game Super Mario Maker. Why do I think this? Well, it really comes down to the type of game this is. I would also be okay with calling it Super Mario Maker for Nintendo Switch, but when we start getting into Super Mario Maker 2.0 territory, that's when it gets a little shady. Unless they add a boatload of new content, modes, and options to the game, people will be unimpressed with the game's status as a sequel, making the ever-common Super Mario Maker 1.5 joke. Sure, the title doesn't matter a whole lot, but it's something I thought I'd bring up. Moving on to the inconsequential parts of the game, I'm now going to detail my hopes for Super Mario Maker on Switch's level creation options. For the most part, I agree with the suggestions I made in my first video, but there were a few more ideas that I left out and think are pretty important. First up, regardless of anything, the levels you make in Mario Maker are the same number of blocks tall. You can adjust the length of your level, but I think it would do a lot for the levels people make if you could at least have some control over the shape of your level. They could keep the default settings intact, but maybe when starting to create a level, you could select from a few different types of level shapes, ranging from traditional horizontal to a more vertical tower approach. It would also be nice if you could have custom level dimensions. The game may not run right if they were too big, but as long as your dimensions didn't exceed the standard level's area limit, I think it would work just fine. If Nintendo doesn't let us make taller levels, the least they could do is allow the completion flag to be placed away from the end of the level. I can already think of some really cool ways to use a centered completion point, so I hope Nintendo includes one or both of these ideas. Now that the creation aspect of Super Mario Maker is out of the way, I'll now get into the subject that will be the bulk of this video, and that's the online level sharing. Boy, when I first got this game, this seemed amazing, and while it's still incredibly fun to play other people's levels, the way it's set up also feels incredibly tacked onto me. You can play a random assortment of levels on a bland, flavorless, untraversable world map in 100 Mario Challenge, and this is the most common way many people play levels. The difficulty settings are nice, and I know the game doesn't know very much about these levels, making further theming difficult, but this mode has absolutely no personality. Since the game can clearly tell any given level's theme by judging the fact that the final level in 100 Mario Challenge is always a lava level, why can't there be little theme indicators around each level on the map, or better yet, split the 100 Mario Challenge into a multi-world campaign with the different worlds themed after all the new level themes they added because they clearly should. Run-on sentences aside, the only way I would be satisfied with the same old 100 Mario Challenge returning is if Nintendo made a new way for people's shared levels to be fed to you. In my first video, I explained how Nintendo could add a level categorizing system to the upload process of Mario Maker, and I think this could provide some cool new level playing modes. Rush mode could give you a bunch of speedrunning levels, Brainiac mode would give you a bunch of puzzle levels, that kind of thing. I think sorting levels would, in a sort of counterintuitive way, go a long way in terms of adding variety to the playing of levels. And, as I said with the 100 Mario Challenge, adding a more unique theme to the game's UI as a whole would really do a lot to make the game more exciting. If you go into the game now, it's all just a little bland, making it clear that the only thing the devs put their heart and effort into was the level creation. The menus are fine and easy to navigate, don't get me wrong. I just think that when making Super Mario Maker, someone at Nintendo said, let's allow people to make their own Mario levels and share them online. And that was the only idea ever spoken. Outside of a select few game mechanics, nothing really new was brought to the table here. It was all played way too safe aesthetically, even more so than New Super Mario Bros. Safe. Sure, with near infinite levels to choose from, pinning them all down to a specially made world map would be impossible, but I'm not asking for that. I just want more than an online level selector with a difficulty-based challenge mode. I know I already talked about how Nintendo could make different worlds in 100 Mario Challenge themed after the level's themes, but I'm gonna bring up a pretty interesting idea that I don't think anyone's really asked for in Mario Maker, and that's a story. I know, it sounds pretty weird, but as I've made it clear, the biggest thing I feel Mario Maker lacks is personality, and even a simple explanation or something about why all these levels are being built by people, with Bowser trying to be a Lord Business clone and stop the creativity, would make the game something special. The story campaign obviously couldn't be different every time, and the story couldn't heavily be affected by the levels themselves, but a simple story campaign that has new original levels every single time would be pretty awesome. I know that of all the ambitious ideas I've suggested, a story mode is by far the least likely to be made by Nintendo, but even just adding anything more aesthetically pleasing would drastically improve on Super Mario Maker for the Wii U. Aside from personality, which I think is insanely important to add, I've got a bit of a problem I had with the game that isn't huge, and that's the use of 1-ups. Currently, in 100 Mario Challenge, you can get up to 3 1-ups in a level which go towards your in-challenge life counter, and that's it. You can place them in your levels, but the one and only practical use for 1-ups is right here, and it's not even that cool. What if you're just playing a regular level and you find a bonus area with 1-ups? You don't really get an award beyond the satisfaction of finding it, and to be honest, that's pretty lame if you ask me. Some levels give you like a million 1-ups, so a 5 to 10 1-up limit would likely need to be put into effect, and levels could only give you permanent 1-ups once to prevent farming, but I think it would be awesome if there was a 1-up and coin store in the menu. I know it's a bit weird sounding, but I would love it if you could use the 1-ups and or coins you found in levels online in an in-game store, where you could buy things like amiibo costumes, new level themes, or even gameplay modes. Like, I'm getting excited right now just thinking about it. Between a potential theming change-up, story mode, and in-game 1-up store, I think that 90% of what Super Mario Maker lacked would be totally fixed, making for an incredible experience beyond a simple level editor. Those tweaks, admittedly very difficult to do well, would add depth and personality to a game that was certainly fun, but lacked true lasting appeal for many. As we near the end of this still shorter than average video, I'd like to talk about my final hope for Super Mario Maker, and that's that it will be the next step for 2D Mario as a whole. Unless the series sees a drastic shakeup after the boring sameness of New Super Mario Bros., I just don't think 2D Mario has a true place in the modern gaming market. Between Donkey Kong Country, Kirby, and many others, regular releases of 2D Mario games don't exactly have a place these days, and I think that a fresher, more unique Super Mario Maker is the best way to keep 2D Mario alive. Sure, we could get the occasional new Super Mario Bros., and Nintendo could always throw in their own levels as they did with the 10 Mario Challenge, but I think a full 2D Mario game wouldn't work too well without a huge shakeup, and that Mario Maker is the best route for the series. And there you go. While very unlikely and overly ambitious, those are my definitive hopes for Super Mario Maker, at least for now. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and once again, tell me your hopes for the future of Super Mario Maker down in the comments below. See you next time, and have a great day.